Again, just wrapping up Louisville, I think some of the things I said after the game were, appropriate. I was proud of how our kids battled. We were down 21 points really at the end of the first quarter, and to come back and fight and continually come back and make that a 3-point game. But the bottom line is that, if you give up a kick return for a touchdown, another that leads to a touchdown, a punt return that leads to a touchdown, a turnover that led to a touchdown, that's going to be hard to overcome against anybody you play, let alone a team that's playing the level that Louisville is right now. They had a great plan. They executed really well on offense, and they came ready to go. And we were slow to join the party, and once we did, we certainly tried to catch up. But when losses like that happen, they can be good things if you learn lessons from them. There was a lot of teachable moments from that game that we shared with the football team, and hopefully we'll come out a better team this week and this year because of it. And I don't really want to talk about the last onside kick and the replay and all that. There does no good to do that. So we need to move on. Our team needs to move on. It is what it is, and we're looking forward to play a very talented Florida State team on Saturday. That they certainly have all the pieces of the puzzle, and they've got 2 quarterbacks. This is probably one of the best, or top 2 or top 3 tailbacks that we will see all year in Cam Akers. The receiver Terry is a big-time player. They have tremendous skill on offense. They've got a big physical O-line. Like Louisville, they're capable of making explosive plays. And certainly after the way we played last Saturday, I'm sure that's part of their plan, is they'll take some deep shots, and we have to defend the deep ball better. And we've got to keep leverage on the football better than we did on Saturday. Defensively, they're always gifted. They've got long corners, active safeties. It's probably the most physical front that we've played yet this year. They're big, they're athletic, and Florida State has always had talent. And they have a staff in their second year that have made adjustments, and they're figuring things out offensively and defensively. And when they're playing and firing on all cylinders, they're still Florida State. So we're going to have to play extremely well on Saturday, and it'll be a great challenge for our guys. And hey, for the first time all year, we've hit adversity. It's easy when you're winning, and I think since the college football playoff started, there's been one Power 5 team that finished the year undefeated. So it's part of football. Almost all teams go through it, and we've got to bounce back. And I think the leadership in our locker room and on our team will get us refocused. Questions?
Have you seen the refocusing since Saturday night that you needed to see in the last few days?
Well, we meet with them Sunday, and first of all, that game it felt like a marathon game. So it didn't get home till 1:30, didn't fall asleep till 2:30, and we're back in the next morning. And when we met with the team, it was 16 hours later. So they were still upset, and that's not a bad thing. You want a team that cares, and you want a team that's emotionally invested. If I showed up on Sunday and there were smiles, that would be disappointing. But then you cover the lessons, you cover the teachable moments, and you got to move forward. And I think we've done that. Our practice today was a good practice. We're not talking about the last one. We're looking forward to the next one. And again, I thought overall our effort was good.
We saw at the end of the game, Jamie's left shoulder was wrapped up. What's his status?
Yeah, he's kind of day to day. That he got hurt at the end of the second quarter. We had X-rays to try to eliminate the worst thing it could be, and that was eliminated, and he was able to return. He's sore, and we'll take it day by day and see how he feels later in the week. It's been one practice, and we'll have a better feel later in the week. And we won't share that when we know it.
You don't have to anymore.
I don't have to.
Was he able to practice today?
He was out at practice today.
What adjustments defensively need to happen? Because 2 weeks ago, the BC game, they had over 500 yards and kind of bend and didn't break in that one as much. And then
No, we broke. Yeah, I mean, and again, credit to Louisville that you go in with a plan, and they did some different things in their bootleg game that they really had not done a lot of, and we did not adjust very well. I mean, it was not, players, coaches, all of us. They did some different things, and we defended their base stuff really well. Their run game, and I thought up front, their lead zone and all that stuff, we defended. They could have run a bootleg 30 times and we still haven't defended it. And, we just kind of went so extreme in some of the things we had to defend because of what we didn't defend against BC. And they had their answer with their counterpunch, and we never countered their counterpunch. I would say defensively, our players and our staff certainly don't feel good about what we put out there on Saturday. And anytime that happens, it's always a shared responsibility. I don't think, as coaches, we felt we put our kids in the best chance to succeed. And by the same token, we can't give up explosive plays. Some of the balls over our head, some of the big plays they got, we lost leverage, and we went into the game saying you can't lose leverage in coverage or you can't lose leverage on tackles. And so, again, anytime things don't go well, it's a shared responsibility. And having said that, if the offense doesn't get off to a slow start, if we don't have the turnover, if we don't throw the red zone pick before the end of the half, if we don't give up 2 kickoff returns, if we don't give up a punt return, in spite of how poorly we played on defense, we still win the game. So we didn't play well on defense, but certainly, it's the cliche, you win and lose as a team. I think it's very appropriate that for as many points and yards as we had on offense, we certainly didn't start fast. And, you give up 62 points, and, you can say directly 28 of them were on short fields or a kick return, punt return, or a turnover. So of the first 28 points, 21 of them, there wasn't a lot of fault. You'd love to find a way to get off the field, but when drives are starting on the 20 and the 14 and the 13, odds are certainly against you.
How do you kind of gauge the special teams malfunctions? Was it schematically just versus Louisville problem, or is it more broad than that?
I think it's more broad than that. I think a lot of the same things that show up on defense in terms of losing leverage, not getting things on the ground, a lot of the same things happen in special teams. So, everyone's different and unique. The first kickoff return for a touchdown, we had 2 guys right there unblocked. And if 2 guys are right there unblocked and neither of them makes a play, you're going to be short numbers the rest of the way. Now, you'd like to find a way to get it on the ground, but we had that thing defended exactly what we wanted. It was delivered to a free hitter. And, it's like a running play that, the end box is at the linebacker spills it and it's delivered right to the safety. If he doesn't make the play, it's going to be a big play. The second one, we had a guy right there as well and didn't make a play. But it was almost that what I didn't like about it is it was almost like everyone was saying someone else was going to make the play, instead of going down there with the mentality of this is my play to make. And, on their punt return, it was just, we didn't, that ball, the design of that play was that we were supposed to punt the ball to the right, and we mishit it to the left, and we were short numbers. A lot of kicks and punting and all that is what you do is it's directional. That you don't want to kick the ball to any returner in the ACC, and so you're going to kick it right down the middle and give them the full field to return it. So in kicks and punts, often what we do is directional, that we're going to try to put it in a quarter of the field or a third of the field, no worse than a half of the field, and that way you're not defending all 53 yards. And when you want to kick it there and it goes all the way there, And if you notice on that punt return, all the coverage, and Dom is one of the best punters in the country. I mean, that doesn't happen often, but the combination of 2 returners, a missed punt, and then we didn't recover on that one. So, players aren't robots. At times they're going to make mistakes. And it just seemed like a lot of those mistakes, unfortunately, happened in the same plays. And some of those mistakes were made by our best players who typically don't do those things. So it's not a perfect game. We weren't perfect in the first 5. We found a way to survive those mistakes. We made too many mistakes in this game to overcome it and survive.
Considering what you have in a backup quarterback in Sam, what's the bar Jamie Newman's going to have to clear this week at practice for you to feel comfortable?
It would have to be a really high bar because, as I said in the beginning of the year, the old saying that if you have 2, you have none, and I said at the beginning of the year, we have 2 quarterbacks we can win with. And certainly, if you saw, I thought Sam played incredible, that he did not miss a beat. He was sharp, he was on point, he hit a lot of good throws, he made a lot of good decisions, and it's not, a matter of if Jamie's at 40 or 50%, we don't need to push him in there because we have Sam Hartman. So again, we'll see as the week goes on.
We talked about this after the game a little bit, but Cade was in here telling us, like, backup quarterback, typically for the first 2 or 3 weeks, he's kind of raring to go, but then you see him maybe sometimes start to fall off. So is it even more encouraging from that standpoint that Sam was ready to be fired in there and give you guys a chance to win?
Yeah, I mean, he was ready to go. And that, I think, speaks to his maturity and his focus level. And it's not easy, especially when you were the starter. And then you go out there and you don't play for how many weeks, and now all of a sudden, we need you. And he went out there and played really well. So that was, to some degree, I want to say we expect that. But when it happens, you're also really pleased.
Any updates on Luke Masterson?
Luke's done for the year. So Luke will be out for the rest of the season.
Shoulder.
Yeah, his shoulder.
What about Nate Gilliam?
Nate Gilliam's fine. He practiced today, and he had a little bit of a scare, and it calmed down, and he could have gone back in there. But he practiced today and felt good.
Justin Huron ended up being fine. He was back in the game.
Yep, so we stayed clean for 5 weeks, and we've been on the right side of it, and it was we lost some kids that will hurt us, but that's football. Everybody goes through it. You feel more bad for the individual player. I mean, Luke was just playing so well, such a high level.
Trey Rucker has taken over the top spot at free safety. What have you seen from him the last few weeks?
Well, he tackles. He gets things on the ground, but we got to play Kobe more than we did. So, I mean, we'd love that to be a rotation. I think right now Trey would play more, but we've got to get Kobe going.
Is that a surprise that Trey has kind of surpassed Kobe? Because I know when Kobe was lost for the season last year, we all thought that he was going to be an impact player for you last year.
I mean, it is, yeah. I mean, you want Kobe to be playing better, but it's not bad that Trey's playing well. So you want a program that's internally competitive. It's not too often that freshmen do that with us, but when it happens, it's certainly a good surprise. That's a +1. So I think competition makes people better, and I'm hoping Kobe will respond and start playing at the level that we know he can play at.
Did Trey learn a lot from that first game against Utah State? If I remember correctly, he took some poor angles.
He learns a lot every game. And he's still learning. The learning curve is still very steep there.
With Luke going down, could one of those guys or both of them factor in at Rover behind?
They could. They could. I mean, we train our safeties to play 3 different spots. So I mean, we have different packages, and it's going to be a little bit mix and match.
When you look at the ball security issues that kind of occurred in the first half, how much would you have attributed that to having less contact in a bye week?
I think that's part of it. It's catch-22. You know, you can have more contact and you end up with 3 or 4 guys injured in practice in week 6, or you have less contact and, you know, I mean, we had 3 of them in the first quarter. So, I mean, Cade Carney, who's one of our best, most secure ball carriers, coughed it up, and Scotty dropped one and we recovered it, and Jamie dropped one and we recovered it. So, you know, we had 3 turnovers, which is really bad. It easily could have been 5. And we went into the game saying the one thing we can't do is turn it over. But there's no question, I think, coming off of a bye and getting out of a rhythm, you know, and it's not just us. You watch so many teams, you know, across the country, and, you know, coming off of byes, they get off the slow starts. And again, there's certainly statistical evidence that that's not an abnormality over the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Have you checked to see if you can schedule an exhibition for next week?
It's a catch-22 because you want to get guys healthy too. You know, you don't have a bye and you're probably missing 3 or 4 players, and you have the bye and you got to be ready to go. And it's hard when you haven't played for 2 weeks. So it's, again, I've continued to research it and talk to other people, and I don't think what we do is that much different. I even had Steve look up every team in the country over the last 3 years and how they've performed after bye weeks. And you would say that, you know, probably the overall winning percentages are lower. So it's, you know, some of those what-if games a lot of times have to nap after byes. And I'm not saying that was last Saturday, because I think Louisville's a good football team, and I think we thought that would be a close 4-quarter, 1-score game. I don't think we thought it would unfold the way it did. But I mean, I talked to a head coach last night, and he's like, we deal with the same things. You know, it's that catch-22 of wanting guys to heal up and be healthy so they can be 100% and not losing your timing and your rhythm. And you know, there's no perfect science.
Dave, you coach a team that's got more than 20 4th and 5th year guys in the 2 deep. What's kind of the group mentality of the situation at this point? Do they kind of realize that one loss doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, it's one loss, and the whole thing is you don't let a team beat you twice. And I told them that if sometimes when you have a loss like this, that if you learn lessons from it, and if those lessons are then applied, it can maybe save you 2 or 3 losses down the line. And it takes a mature team to say, okay, we didn't do A, B, and C. That can't repeat itself. And if we do that, you know, we might look back and say, hey, it was the best thing that happened to us. It doesn't feel that way now, but you have to turn it into a positive. You know, if you dwell on it, it just becomes 2 and becomes 3. And, you know, with the schedule that we play and the teams we're about to play, we can't afford to do that. I mean, every game from here on out, I mean, we need to play well. In any of those games, if we do half the things we did in that first quarter, we probably won't win them. And our team knows that. I mean, I'm not telling them anything they don't know. You know, maybe in some ways I'm glad they all happened in one game, and because if one of those things that happened in the Utah State, the Carolina, or the BC game, we could have been 0-3 in those games. So, you know, we made all those mistakes in one, and we were 3-1 in those games. And again, I think, you know, our attention on kickoff, and sometimes you need a wake-up call. It's human nature. All right, thank you very much.